Hello and welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks, I think, since I recorded my last video. I've been thinking about recording a video all this time and have found it really difficult to simply motivate myself to do it. To be honest with you, I've been feeling a lot more depressed lately, partially due to a lot of what you see happening around the world. There's a lot changing right now. A lot of us are limited, more and more becoming limited, more and more as to the things that we're allowed to do. We need certain things like a vaccine passport in order to eat in a restaurant and go places and so on. And lately I've found it really difficult. So I've had to process my emotions as they come up. A lot of times I've felt like coming to record a video in the meantime, but to be honest, I was filled with doubt myself. I wasn't too sure, because for me in these videos, the last thing I want to do is mislead anyone, because I understand in these types of videos there's certain information that can have a certain impact on a person. And oftentimes, many people who listen to these types of videos are sensitive in nature. They may be looking for a certain consolation, to hear something that helps them to put their problems down. And the last thing I want to do is to mislead anyone. So in the last couple of weeks, I've found some information that had me doubt everything, my whole journey. So anyways, here I am. I'm back. Thank you to everyone, all the new people as well who have been subscribing. My channel has been growing quite a bit over the last year. I'm almost up to 200 subscribers now. So I really want to take a moment to thank you for that. Allergies. So you'll notice I'm sniffing a lot. So as the world seems to be pressuring human beings into conforming, into believing certain things, we are faced with new personal challenges. We are faced with some of the same personal challenges as well, at a higher intensity. A lot of us are not sure how we're going to make ends meet anymore. Our lives are becoming unstable. But in this instability, there's a lot of potential for growth, personal development, to bust through your old patterns. And myself, personally, it's exactly what I've been facing. You see, as we progress spiritually, we're going to come back and back to the same challenges, as we know. Many of us know this. And as you repeat certain challenges, within different situations, these same challenges can be easier or more difficult. And in my case, with the increased madness you see around the world, I've found certain challenges to feel as though they're reinvigorated. Some of the challenges I've been facing lately feel too powerful. As a matter of fact, I pretty much just put spirituality aside for about 2 weeks and really wanted to make sure for myself that I wasn't fooling myself in any way. Over the last year, I've committed myself to really grounding myself. And what I've seen is this, that if you spend too much effort grounding yourself, you can eventually start to dig yourself into the ground. You can eventually start to take the world too seriously, is what I'm saying. So it's important to not be to not push yourself too far into one direction. When you're grounding, to not go so far that you lose sight. And the opposite is true as well, that when you're exploring, the unseen energies of the world, to not go so far that you lose touch with the grounded aspects of reality, which are, simply put, if you put fire on your skin, it's going to burn. No matter how much you advance spiritually and you feel you're beyond certain things, well, when the world reminds you that you're still connected to this human experience, when the world reminds you that you're still connected to this human experience and you're up here, it's not going to feel like you crashed so far down, because you're not creating an unrealistic, you're not living in an unrealistic world. You're not saying I am beyond the world anymore, but you're also, one wants to be careful when grounding, that you don't go so far down to the ground that you feel you can't fly anymore either. So that's one thing that I want to share with you, that I've been learning in experience, that I've learned have been learning over the last year, and over the last couple of weeks I've seen this myself, that I have started to lose touch with what feels like the ability to fly. And when I say the ability to fly, I'm speaking specifically about your ability for the world issues, the things that are happening around you that seem to be happening to you. I'm saying that those things will have more impact on your ability to, you'll feel more depressed, you'll feel more overwhelmed if you're too far into the grounded aspect of spirituality, and if you're too high into the fluffy side of spirituality, you feel as though you're a spirit and beyond the human. Then when the human experience, the reality of things like your pain, grief, emotional loss, those sorts of experiences, they're not going to crash you down. So I'm learning that it's a balance between the two, that here, as I'm speaking to you now, that these two sides are really one, and that the two, you cannot have one without the other, and that one without the other is simply an unhealthy balance in our lives. When we're here, when we are too grounded, then we start to take the world too seriously, and we lose the ability to laugh and have fun and to be playful and joyful and innocent. And we're up here, we lose the ability to take our responsibilities seriously. We lose the ability for the world to give us the lessons that we need. For example, when we're faced with the reality of loss, maybe you lose a loved one, well, down here you're fully aware of that possibility of loss. You're fully aware that this can happen. And when you're up here, you feel you're beyond it. So when you meet somewhere in the middle, you have this understanding that, yes, right now, in this moment, I feel good. I can give myself permission to feel good. And even though it's possible for me to lose someone I love, I'm not going to dwell so far into it that it is overwhelming. I'm going to meet somewhere in the middle where I'm aware that life has this ability to sometimes feel as though it's overwhelming. You're going to acknowledge this without having an unrealistic expectation that you're beyond these things. So I might not be making much sense in this video. I apologize in advance. Or not in advance anymore. I'm more than halfway through the video. The point of this video is to not take yourself too seriously and to not focus on one side or the other too heavily. To remember that your physical body will experience certain things like pain, you're going to experience emotional loss, and up here, it's possible to feel happy as well, even though these things are a possibility. So the point of this video is to have us realize that and to remind us not to focus on one aspect or the other too heavily. Have the courage to explore both sides, but also the wisdom to discern when you're up here and you think you're beyond, these mundane aspects of reality. Have the wisdom to realize that you're not beyond the mundane aspects of reality, and have the wisdom to understand that when you're experiencing these mundane aspects of reality, like physical pain, that it's temporary, that the nature of the human body and its experience is also temporary. So to not allow this to drown you, which I have over the last couple of weeks. I went a bit too heavy into it. So hopefully this video makes sense and is helpful to someone in some way or another. If not, I still just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to share it with me. I also want to thank you for leaving any kinds of comments below, any kind of questions you may have, any kind of feedback, dialogue that we can have between each other, because ultimately these videos are to share my experience in hopes that it may help someone else, either by knowing what's coming, by what's possible, or by giving you some type of strength. Whatever it is, hopefully it's helpful in some way. So I leave you with that. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Peace.